Coming up on this week's episode of Hip Hop Now podcast, Mach, Hommy, and Black Thought are releasing an album together. Jay-Z is officially outside with 2 huge performances planned, and rappers in AI music videos. You've seen them. We're going to talk about it. Let's do it. Welcome to Hip Hop Now podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business. What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is Hip Hop Now podcast, a podcast specifically designed to keep you caught up on all things hip hop, music, and culture that happened throughout the week. Big shout out to the supporters that have been supporting this podcast for 10 years in audio form. Shout out to you for sticking in with a brother through the trials and tribulations, but we made it, right? Also, shout out to the members right here on the YouTube channel for Hip Hop Now Pod. If you would like to become a member and maybe you're like, how you do that? And I don't know what that means either. The link is in the description of this episode, not only on YouTube, but also wherever you get your audio version of this show. And just real quick, last week released a new episode in the series celebrating the year 1996. It's been 30 years. I chose 12 albums, talking about each album once a month with a special guest. The latest episode features the Hommy Ill Fam of Black Wrestling Podcast, and we talked about De La Soul's The Stakes Is High album, classic album to most, but we kind of talked about not only the music, but we talked about the time. We talked about the year, the competitive year that was 1996, along with a few other things, with De La Soul being one of his favorite groups. And, just that time. So it's a nice way for a person like yourself who maybe you was around in 96. Maybe you have fond memories of that album. Maybe you was around in 96, you didn't really listen to that album. You want to know, should you go back? Or maybe you weren't even born, but you like what you heard from De La Soul recently. This is an episode for you to go check out and get a lot of information, a lot of context about that album and that time. And this is the 3rd episode. So there's been 2 other episodes released, right? A double episode that features Tupac's All Eyes on Me and Machiavelli with the homie Mach. And then also another episode that I released with Angelica, talking about the Fugees, the score, and that time in hip hop. And again, each month, we're going to do another one. Coming up in April will be A Tribe Called Quest's Beats, Rhymes, and Light. So at the end of the video, a card will pop up also. There are many ways, or you can just subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button to know anytime a video goes live. But again, celebrating 10 years of Hip Hop Now podcast, I got some joints for y'all, got some content. So with that being said, big shout out to hiphopdx.com, Complex, Twitter, and a couple of places where I'm getting some of these stories from. Let's get right into the business stuff. Mach, Hommy, and Black Thought are releasing an album together. I'm going to tell y'all like this. I didn't see this one coming. Now, we knew that Black Thought was teasing a brand new album, solo album, I believe with Danger Mouse, that we talked about, but now here's something that's more of a surprise. This is on hiphopdx.com. It says Black Thought and Mach, Hommy, 2 of the game's most dangerous MCs, are joining forces for a full-length album. Mach confirmed the news in his latest newsletter, telling fans, "I have a few projects in the chamber. one with August Fannin, I don't know who that is, one with Raz G, and last but not least, Black Hommy. And that's the joint with Black Thought. Now I'm trying to see if there's some sort of release date, but I don't really see that, or release month. But I think that's interesting. I don't know what an album with those two MCs would sound like, because they are two very different MCs, right? Black Thought will be thought as rappity rap for you new people who just discovered him because of a Hot 97 freestyle. Relax, okay? Go listen to some Roots albums that you probably never heard since you just found out about Black Thought. But he's considered like rapidy rap, real, even when he's talking about something, real, technical wordplay and stuff like that. And Mach Hommy is more laid back, more style over, wordplay, so to speak. And he has some wordplay. So you're not talking about an album where both MCs are not identical, but have similar styles that will mesh well together. But sometimes that's not the only way two styles can mesh well together. Sometimes maybe Black Thought's style of wordplay will complement Mach Hommy's laid back style. So we don't know. We'll see what it would sound like. I'm obviously a Black Thought fan since the Roots. Mach Hommy, I'm kind of hit or miss on certain joints. Some albums he put out I really liked. Others I'm like, what's the difference? So I'm curious, but I'm definitely going to anticipate it, because you're talking about two quality artists, and them coming together is interesting. So we'll see what it sounds like. What do you think? Are you a fan of either? Does this collaboration, Black Hommy, I forget what it's called. I think it's called Black Hommy. Are you interested in this collaboration? Leave your comments in the comment section below. We can talk about it. Next, Jigga Man, Sean Carter, Hove, Jay-Z is officially outside in 2026. We're not talking about a new album, unfortunately, but I have some speculation regarding that. So if you don't know, and I have an episode coming up about this, 2026 is the 30th anniversary, well, June to be exact. June 2026 is the 30th anniversary of Jay-Z's debut album, Reasonable Doubt. I got an episode coming up in June talking all about that time and that album, including me still owning the original CD with the original cover that doesn't include the bonus songs that were added on the Def Jam version that kind of superseded, the original. But, I've had some speculation early this year of Jay-Z releasing a new album. I knew he would celebrate his debut. I think it makes sense to drop a new album maybe in the fall. And there's a possibility, right? Because if June, well, I'll say possibility. If June is the anniversary of his debut, and he has, and this is why I say he's outside, he has two big shows planned, right? One being he's headlining the Roots Picnic, right? Which is a showcase that the Roots put on in Philly that's usually star-studded, but this year Jay-Z is the top dog. He's the headliner. And then in, I believe, July, let me just make sure. I think in July, one weekend, he's going to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Reasonable Doubt, but also the 25th anniversary of the Blueprint. And the Blueprint's anniversary, as you may or may not know, is actually in September, because it released on September 11th, 2001. Yes, 9/11, same day. And he still sold, which is crazy. But it's going to take place at Yankee Stadium. Very dope show. I think as a fan of Jay-Z, I know the tickets are going to be expensive, so I'm not going. Also, I'm an old man, y'all. Like I don't do too much standing at shows. Like I'll lean on something with my drink. You know, I might sit down a little bit. You know, I'll stand up for the joints I like, especially if everybody else standing up. But yeah, I don't be doing much standing, y'all. Like at the mosh pit, nah, that's not Vegas. Not anymore. But it should be a really dope show. But you would think milestones like this for some of his biggest albums in his career and the thirst that has to be out there for Jay-Z fans to get some sort of new album, because his last album was 444. And if I'm not mistaken, that might be past its like 5th anniversary. I don't know where that is. You can leave that in the comment section, but that was a while ago. And Jay-Z never really said, oh, I'm not going to be making no more music. He just has it. So I think there's an opportunity at the end of this year for him to drop something new, especially considering the fact that old school artists are thriving. Maybe not so much in sales, but, you know, that's just not what it is anyway. But as far as, you know, popularity and like Jay-Z doing these shows has already commanded a lot of the top stories, including mine, just off of him doing shows and releasing the original single to Reasonable Doubt and this whole build up. And he also released, I believe he released another rare single from one of his albums also. So it's either one or two. He's either, or both, right? He's either just using this year because there's a couple of milestones in his career to do special things for the fans, right? I'll definitely keep my eye out for some Reasonable Doubt vinyl. It's the reason why I haven't purchased it yet, because I'm like, he gonna do something with the vinyl, considering everything else that's happened with, you know, anniversaries of great albums and just releases. Like, look what they did with the clips. Like, there's probably going to be some ill Reasonable Doubt vinyl to drop. I'm not paying $100 for it. I'm just be real. No, I don't do that. Mm-mm. If it looks ill enough, and I may go 50, but beyond that, come on, man, it's wax. Okay, it's wax. But I feel like there's probably room for an album either at the end of the year or to be teased for early 2027. So we'll see how it all plays out. But again, I have an episode coming out in June on the release date, the original release date of Reasonable Doubt, to commemorate the year. My guest is my homie, Javon Johnson. We chop it up. He was my college roommate and all of that. So we have a really personal story with that album that not only involves us as fans of hip hop, as fans of Jay-Z, but just the time and very early Jay-Z stories at Morgan State University. So that's definitely available for you to hit that notification bell and be notified when it goes live in June. And lastly, so I just wanted to take, you know, some brief time, not too long of an episode, because I'm trying to shorten the episodes anyway, but just talk real quick about artificial intelligence as it relates to hip hop videos. Now, I'm all in the AI bag, not making like silly stuff, but I've used it here and there, like my logo. As an example, my logo is AI art, but it's literally art based off of 7 photos of me at different stages of my life to create one photo of me. So when I look at it, I know what photos I'm looking at, the pose, the face, my hair, like, there's even a photo that I use where I was like 10 10 years old, maybe, that's also there. And I just kind of use that in a way to create the logo along with some prompts, right? And then if you watch the video version of this podcast, you see that early AI art where uh, the video is transforming my logo into all these different things. Some things don't even make sense. Hand disappeared, the hand go into each, whatever. It was just more of a visual representation of the intro, basically, and the types of things I talk about here on my podcast, right? So for me, it was more about using AI to do something abstract. I know exactly how to use AI specifically, not just, hey man, make me look funny. Like I'm on stage. Like I don't do that dumb shit. Okay. I don't. All right. Not that it's not entertaining and funny sometimes, but you know what I mean? I kind of use it to get things. I use it as a tool, right? Because that's what AI is. It's a tool. That's how it should be used, as a tool to enhance or um, help you with something. You know what I mean? But in recent years, and y'all have all seen it, I'll just say a couple names: Raekwon, Ghost, the Woo in general, 50, most recently. They all use AI in a way to create videos that, in my opinion, are just weird, because this is the difference, right? Some people like Raekwon's, like, shout out to the homie Mach, we was talking about this, but Raekwon, when he was dropping his last album, The Emperor's New Clothes, he had this like bear werewolf version of himself, like shape shifting, and like it was just this scary video, but you could tell it was AI because it really didn't have any rhyme or reason. It just didn't it was just things happening because it was cool, because we made it and AI did it. And then you have another contrast like 50 Cent or even the Wu situation, but let's just say with 50 Cent, with the song he had with Max B. And at first, it just looks like a video. 50 and Max B are in the car, but then you realize, oh, it's not. Now, they used it a little bit better than what I was talking about with that Raekwon video, right? And I know maybe he wanted to be bear werewolf or whatever. It just was weird and didn't make any sense. But 50's video is not that much better, because after a certain point, you realize you're just looking at a bunch of prompts. And that's the difference, right? It's one thing to use AI as a tool to enhance the message of your video or whatever it is you're trying to convey, versus just putting in prompts and not fine-tuning those prompts and bringing all of this footage together to create something that makes sense within the context of the record. You're just seeing it's almost like we're watching somebody experiment with the software while the music's playing. And music videos don't typically work like that. And I know why they're doing it, because it costs way less to hire somebody who knows how to use this software to just go and create and then tweak. But I just feel like the tweaking isn't refined yet for everybody. Some are just doing it. And most of the time, I just wind up scrolling right past those types of videos, because it's just like, this is kind of whack. Like, at some point, like, here's an example. The video could start out with, let's just say Method Man walking down the street and rapping, and it looks like Method Man, and maybe an angle here and there, face kind of looks off when he turns slightly, but, not egregious. So you're like, yeah, I kind of like this. And let's just say everything is burning in the background. It's like, oh, this is all right. This is a good use of AI. But then at some point, then he just flies into the sky, no rhyme or reason. And then you're just off to AI randomness. That's what I'm talking about. It's almost like, man, if y'all gonna use this, make it make sense. Now, here's something that's made sense to me, and I think it's about to be oversaturated because it's the one thing that's worth watching being a part of AI. But I've seen like claymation style videos of songs, and even I guess you could say anime style videos of songs from the past that never had videos, that I'm like, that's how you do it. Because they felt more like a direct interpretation of what was being said in the song. And nothing random would happen. Nobody's hand turning into a gun because you didn't type in the right prompt in order to get it right, with AI. So you just let it happen. No, these are actually good. Like, they had there's one I shared on this channel, Bismarcky's The Biz Is Going Off, and it's claymation, and it's almost like a video that Bismarcky would have done back in the days for that song. Like, if the technology existed, that makes sense. So I don't feel like rappers using AI for video, especially which is cost effective, and I don't blame some of them. But the technology is going to improve, but they have to do better with how they interpret these songs using AI and video, because there's a term going around the internet called AI slop. That Raekwon video was AI slop. It was just, I didn't know what was happening. I know, I'm changing into a bear werewolf thing with a part in the chain. I don't care. It was just terrible. And I like the album a lot. But I think the more sophisticated the software gets, the better those that know how to use it, even on this ground level, will be at it. And I think at one point, we won't be able to tell the difference. It might be the preference, like watching a regular video with just regular humans might not be that good. But what gets lost is, a director, filmmaker, extras, little $100. You ain't gonna get that little $100 for being in the background dancing, because we don't do that. We just AI. We just create a person or people to dance in the background. We don't have to pay all of them $100 a piece or whatever. We could just create it. That's kind of the downside of it. But if you're a director, or maybe you are good with AI, that's a job. That's a job. And especially if you're really good at it as it improves, because it's clear that there are potential clients for you out there that they don't know what they do. And they want the good stuff. So we'll see. How do you feel about AI and music videos? Do you like them? Do you think in time they will get better? Leave your comments in the comment section below. You can follow me on social media at Vegas World INC, and don't forget, you can subscribe to this podcast also in audio form, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, and so many other podcasting platforms. If you like the video version, subscribe. Hit the like button, because it's very important for the channel, as well as hyping the video. And comment in the comment sections. I like to know what other hip hop fans think about these stories. I like to read them. They kind of inform me on what people think, besides, only thinking about what I think, So I check all comments, what I'm saying? So leave your comments in the comment section below. Think about becoming a member, supporting the podcast in a way that makes you a part of the production team and helps the podcast grow. Until next time, y'all, I'm not a critic, I'm a fan. Peace.